Let's just go for it. Let's talk masturbation.
Yes, let's talk masturbation.
Okay, well, guess what? That is a normal thing that humans do. Almost every human does that, needs to do that. It's good for them, good for their body, good for their mind. And what is one of the biggest things that churches goes after? It's our own relating to our own bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've mentioned before that for you and I, it was, no, that's for your husband. Okay, yep. Well, so you're controlling me right now, and you're setting me up to be controlled by a man when I'm a grown-up. Mm-hmm. That's a problem. And think about penis owners growing up, right? Like those hormones have got to be pretty wild, making them want to whack it all the freaking time.
And I mean, now, not just penis owners, man. Well, I was masturbating from the moment I could possibly fucking do so when I was a kid.
I didn't figure it out as early as you did. But yes, exactly.
The shame, Pat's probably the shame caused you to not. Whereas the shame that was put on me made me want to go and do those things all the more.
But think about the drive of anybody. Okay, you're right. A teenager. Right.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. People tend to focus more on boys ensuring that they don't masturbate a lot more than girls. For some reason that was the case. They just didn't want boys jerking it, and really they're just talking about them anyway.
So if we're talking about pathologizing a normal human function, to make a teenager feel like they've sinned against God and against their future spouse, and they're gonna go to hell, and their bodies are dirty every time they feel like rubbing one out. No, that's not okay. Like, think about how that builds up within a person's body too, of like, I'm gross, I'm yucky, why do I do this? But I want to do it. But why? You know, I need to stop, but I can't. Like, the crazy making of that is just horrendous. And I think we would have a much better world if we normalized the fact that teenagers need to do that. Okay, not just teenagers.
Everyone needs to do it, yeah.
Not just teenagers. I mean, but we know that there's a heightened level of hormonal activity at that point that, you know, leads to a whole lot of masturbation as teenagers. And I think there are so many grown-ass women walking around this planet that are afraid of exploring themselves, who maybe haven't even like had an orgasm, who would even have a hard time going into a sex shop or shopping online, or even thinking about what they might like to explore themselves, to give themselves pleasure. And that shit's so important.
They're embarrassed about it. They do still feel that shame. Like, to me, it blows my mind that there are women out there that don't have vibrators. I'm like, what? What do you mean you don't have one? Like it's mind-blowing to me.
There are women who've been married for 40 years and never had an orgasm. What?
I mean, no, you poor dears.
Right. I mean, bummer for her, but like if she's partnered with anybody, like that's tough if that connection point can't find its fullness. And I've actually attended a class at a sex shop where they were directly talking about women using cannabis as a way to kind of get past some of that internalized shame from their past, and be able to really just be present in that moment with their partner and be able to let go and embrace their own pleasure.
The people that fall under this category are extremely insecure, so it would not surprise me if they were to look at things like sex toys as a form of like competition, and makes them feel like they're not taking care of the job. I'm like, well, that's not what it's about, actually. It's for personal self-satisfaction and care.
Well, and that was my story, as I got caught with a toy, and that was when I was directly told, well, okay, with the back massager, but same difference. That was when I got told that my body was for my husband. So, I mean, that was absolutely clear of like, no, you're not allowed to take your pleasure yourself. Well, I masturbated 3 times this week. Like, what?
Hit yourself right now.
If you think about evangelical churches, they really like to pat themselves on the back about their accountability groups. Yep. And that goes for everything, but you know, it's my understanding that when you're talking about men's accountability groups, yeah, it's just a big group of men sitting there going like, yeah, I looked at porn this week. Okay. Well, so now you had
Right.
to admit it. So now you had to feel shame when you were trying to engage in a fairly normal human activity. Which, by the way, if normal human activities like that are clamped down, it's
Yeah.
gonna come out and it's gonna be weirder. Just saying.
Yeah.
But right, so here's this issue where people in accountability groups are feeling the shame of the things they're struggling with, according to the church themselves. And then they have to go to this group and like say it again in front of people. Like maybe that makes them feel better, but really I think it just reinforces the shame for the next time it happens because it's a normal human behavior.